What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Gervonta Tank Davis, who recently defeated Isaac Cruz via unanimous decision in a very competitive fight, to the surprise of yours truly and many boxing experts and boxing pundits. It was a very competitive fight. Now, right after that fight, we had some internet gossip, fake news, people fabricating that Gervonta Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz flopped. You had a report coming out saying the fight did 52K. You know what? I put too much respect on that report, saying it's a report. It's bogus. Ain't nothing but some gossip. YouTube gossip. A lot of these YouTube channels was fabricating a lot of this bogus claim, saying the fight did 52K, or the fight did 65K, or the fight did 75K. You even had Eddie Hearn, aka Eddie the Con Artist. He jumped on the bandwagon. You know, he the P. Diddy of boxing promoters, always in the video. He came out and said the fight did somewhere between 100 and 200,000 buys. And people took those fake numbers and they took all that and ran with it, saying that, yeah, the see. That's what happened when you fight people that nobody know and nobody want to see. You should be fighting Devin Haney. You should be fighting Ryan Garcia. You should be fighting George Kambosos. You know, you should be fighting Josh Taylor. You should be fighting Teofimo Lopez. You know, that's why the fight flopped. And that's why Mayweather Promotion took a bath on that fight. Lost a whole lot of money. They don't know what they're doing. Gervonta Tank Davis need to leave Floyd Mayweather Jr. He don't know what he's doing. He need to sign with another promoter. You know what I'm saying? You heard all that when people was pushing that narrative saying the fight flopped. But guess what I heard the other day, the other night? Leonard Ellerbe. He's a guy that promotes, who along with Floyd Mayweather Jr. promotes Gervonta Tank Davis under Mayweather Promotions. He got on his Twitter page, and guess what he said? He said, looking forward to Tank's next fight on pay-per-view. Now, if the fight took a bath, if the fight lost all this money, if the fight was a fight nobody wanted to see and nobody bought, why is his next fight going on pay-per-view? Let me give you an example. You know Bud Crawford, who I have number one on my pound-for-pound list. Make no mistake about it, he's one of the best fighters in the sport of boxing. When he did his first pay-per-view against Victor Postal, that was a unification fight at 140 pounds. You remember people were saying, oh man, Chance don't want to fight. Remember when they was negotiating with Victor Postal? It took a while for that fight to get finalized. Oh man, Crawford don't want to fight. Crawford ducking. You know, Crawford was trying to get his business right. He was trying to make sure he was going to get properly paid. And the fight finally came off, and the fight finally got made. And the fight did 60,000 pay-per-view buys. And it did do 60,000 pay-per-view buys. You know why? Because Terrence Crawford's next fight wasn't on pay-per-view. Tank Davis's next fight is on pay-per-view. But all you internet trolls, YouTube gossipers out here selling a fake narrative, fake news, fabricating the story about Tank Davis' fight flopping against Isaac Cruz. If it's flopping, then why is his next fight going to be on pay-per-view? Because Showtime ain't in the business of losing money. They would be like, look here, Tank, your fight lost money. You got to be on regular Showtime next, man. I'm sorry, can't help you. But they more than willing to have his next fight on pay-per-view. Stephen Espinosa is going to put that fight on pay-per-view. Then the other be like, if that fight lost money, if that fight actually did 52K, like one report stated, then the Ellerbe be like, okay, he would probably try to spin it. He wouldn't just say the fight flop, but he'd be like, look here, man, we're gonna put Tank next fight on Showtime. You know, Showtime is putting a lot of their support behind Gervonta Tank Davis. And we're going to put this fight so more fans can see Gervonta Tank Davis fight. You know, after this fight here, if everything goes well, we're going to probably put the fight after that on pay-per-view. You know, they'll probably try to set it as though, you know, the opponent that we have, we didn't feel like there was a pay-per-view fight. Not because of Tank, it's just the opponent he has. You know, they're not the draw. They're not the proper fight to put on pay-per-view. We're looking to put the big names on pay-per-view. Ryan Garcia, you know, Teofimo Lopez, Josh Taylor, you know, Devin Haney. We're going to put that type of fight on pay-per-view. We're gonna go back to we just gonna go back to putting Gervonta on regular Showtime. You know, he'll try to spin it like that. You know, say something to that effect to try to spin it. You know what I'm saying? But he'll still say that, look, you know, he's still doing great numbers at the gate. Look at what he did in the Isaac Cruz fight. We expect similar numbers in the fight that's gonna take place on Showtime. You know, he'll try to spin it like that. But that's not what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. He's saying his very next fight is going on pay-per-view. So miss me with the fight doing 52K, miss me with the fight doing 65K, miss me with the fight doing 75K. Even miss me with what Eddie Hearn was saying the fight did 100 to 200K. Because I believe it did more closer to 200 than the 100K. So but let's give Eddie Hearn half credit. He might have been half right. You know, when he said anywhere between 100 and 200,000 pay-per-view buys. I believe it's closer to the 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, Steve Kim, who's a credible source. He's a guy that wrote for ESPN.com boxing. Now he writes for 323. He came on this Twitter page and said that the Davis Cruz fight did 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Do I believe it did 500,000 pay-per-view buys? No, I don't believe that. Because why would I? If he did, what did he do against Leo Santa Cruz? I guess he did around 225,000 pay-per-view buys versus Leo Santa Cruz. I think he did a little over 200,000, maybe around 200,000, 215,000 pay-per-view buys versus Mario Barrios. And both of those guys have bigger names in the sport of boxing than Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz was a late replacement, so I know good and damn well he didn't do 500,000 K against Isaac Cruz. But I know very damn well he didn't do no 52,000 against Isaac Cruz either. I think he did somewhere in the neighborhood of 200,000 pay-per-view buys. And that, if that's the case, made money not only for Mayweather Promotions, but for Showtime Boxing. And that's why Showtime Boxing is putting it back on pay-per-view. I'm looking for his next fight to take place either in May or June. The opponents that I'm hearing that could be his next foe is either Rolando Rolly Romero or Gary Russell Jr. Mark Magsayo winner. Now that fight's going to take place at 126 pounds as Russell will be defending his WBC belt. Russell has said numerous times that he don't mind moving up to 135, that he got what it takes to beat Gervonta Tank Davis, that Gervonta Tank Davis and his team are running scared. They don't want no smoke with him. So based on how he looked in this Mark Magsayo fight, he could be a possible opponent. The winner of this fight could be a possible opponent. Don't sleep on Mark Magsayo. He's a big, strong guy, man. He's very big for 126 pounds. He's a Filipino fighter that's promoted by MP Promotions. That's Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao has said numerous times that he's a big Gervonta Tank Davis fan. He likes his style of fighting. So I don't think he would mind putting one of his top fighters in there with Gervonta Tank Davis for a career high payday. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires, but this seals the deal that those numbers that were released, that were fabricated after the Davis Isaac Cruz fight was fake, and it did well above the 52K. It did well above the 65K. It did well above the 75K, and it did well above the 100K. And that's why his next fight is going to pay-per-view. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts about Gervonta Tank Davis' next fight taking place on pay-per-view. Let me know your thoughts about his next opponent. Could be Rolando Romero or Gary Russell Jr. Mark Magsayo winner. Let me know your thoughts and follow me on Twitter, JBsports323. And subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.